Good morning, I'm Lois. Here are your headlines in the East Midlands. Police in Nottingham are stepping up patrols this week outside a primary school where two men were spotted carrying knives at home time. East Midlands Airport has recorded a nearly 40% increase in the amount of freight it handled in December compared with the previous year. Almost more than £250,000 is to be shared between 7 charities and community groups in Derbyshire. Hundreds of families have been showing their competitive streak as the National Space Centre in Leicester staged a celebration of board games. OK, well, let's take a look at the weather forecast now with the details. Here's Helen Plint. Thank you, Helen. And that is it from us this morning. There is, of course, more on the website. That's itv.com/central. I'll hand you back now to Susanna and Ed in London. Bye-bye. Good morning, I'm Lois. Here are your headlines in the East Midlands. Nottinghamshire Police is joining a national campaign encouraging people to hand over any soon-to-be illegal pistols. From a mother from Stamford's tireless campaign to get allergy pens in schools and staff trained to use them could reach an important milestone today. The proposal will be discussed in the House of Lords later today. In other news, 4 MPs from Derbyshire have joined a campaign against plans to close 8 care homes in the county. People in Lincolnshire may be paying more council tax next year as the County Council discusses plans to increase bills by the maximum amount. And almost 130 schools in the East Midlands will offer free breakfast clubs by April. OK, time now to take a look at the weather forecast. Here's Des. Thank you, Des. And that is it from us this morning. I'll hand you back now to Susanna and Ed in London. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye. Thank you, Susanna. Good morning. I'm Lois. Here are your headlines in the East Midlands. And a warning, the pictures you're about to see contain flashing images. Police are continuing to investigate what De Montfort University has described as a very serious incident last night. A woman from Spalding, whose husband Wayne died waiting for palliative treatment following a cancer diagnosis, says end-of-life care urgently needs major reform. Well, the government says with its new plan, the NHS will meet all cancer waiting time standards by 2029, with hundreds of thousands more patients treated within 62 days. A councillor in Nottinghamshire said rural communities are being neglected as police officers are pulled away to oversee the nighttime economy and events such as football matches. Well, finally, an appeal to raise money for a special maternity bereavement suite at Northampton General Hospital has been a success. OK, time for the weather forecast now with the details. Here's Des. Thank you, Des. That is it from us this morning. I'll hand you back now to Susanna and Ed. Have a lovely day. Bye for now. Good morning, I'm Lois. Here are your headlines in the East Midlands. The Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, will today meet with the survivor of the Nottingham attacks. Wayne Burkitt was. The Trust said it doesn't have plans for widespread cuts and says patient safety and access to care remains the priority. A man is still being questioned by police after a De Montfort University student was stabbed to death in Leicester on Tuesday evening. New rules to stop people leaving bins out on the street on non-collection days in Derby are to be introduced after a trial last year. The council responsible for licensing taxis in Loughborough has approved new rules for black cabs in the town. And families of the Polish crew who died when their Lancaster bomber plane crashed into a field in Wigston 80 years ago have travelled to the UK for a service to remember them. OK, it's time for the weather forecast now. Here's Des. And that's it from us this morning. I'll hand you back now to Susanna and Richard. Bye-bye. Good morning, I'm Lois. Here are your headlines in the East Midlands. The funeral of a Nottinghamshire mother and daughter who died off the coast at Withensea is due to be held today. 2 Northamptonshire MPs have handed in a petition to Downing Street opposing plans to build one of the county's largest solar farms. More than £3.7 million of funding has been given to hospitals across Nottingham to reduce their carbon footprint. Among those, OK, in sport, Leicester City fans are waking up this morning to their team being hanging just out of the relegation zone after a 6-point deduction for breaking financial rules. ITV Central understands the club is now assessing all available possibilities. It could mean. And finally, rail operator LNER, which runs trains on the East Coast Main Line to London, is putting on a special Harry Styles-themed service for fans travelling to see the first UK concert. Time for the weather. Here's Des. Thank you, Des, and that is it from us this morning. I'll hand you back now to Kate and Ranveer in London. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.